For a long time now, space games have struggled with a very specific problem, and that is space games being split into two very different ideas when it comes to exploration. On the one side, we have scale and distance. On the other, we have atmosphere and presence. Now, very few games manage to support either properly, and almost none support both. But over the past week, a very few specific things have happened that clearly show why Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen still stand very much apart when it comes to exploration, and why, even today, they remain unlike anything else out there. I also want to mention that throughout this video, I've been using the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Now, long-term viewers will know that I've been using Tobii devices for close to a decade now, which is why I was happy to have this video sponsored by Tobii. So do please check out the information and link in the video description. So, for this exploration thing, Distant Worlds 3 has just launched in Elite Dangerous, and this tells us a lot about Elite, but also by extension Star Citizen. So in Elite, we saw thousands of players depart together, heading into deep space with no scripted objectives from the game itself, no quest markers, and no mission board jank encouraging it. And that in itself puts Elite Dangerous in a very small category of games, because there's almost no other games out there that could support anything remotely like this. So what's interesting here is that these two games are arriving at the same feeling from completely opposing directions. Elite Dangerous builds this sense of exploration through what we could perhaps term as endurance. We get long routes, long silences, long gaps of space, and a massive commitment to get from A to B. Star Citizen, meanwhile, builds this sense of exploration through what I can only describe as sheer presence. It comes from scale of a different type that we see in Elite Dangerous. We get atmosphere and the sense that you're standing somewhere that feels truly believable. And this is where the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 really comes into full effect, because it not only allows you some great degree of freedom in terms of looking around, but it really immerses you in these beautiful, stunning environments. Whether I'm flying over these mountains in Elite Dangerous or standing on these mossy plains on the world of Bloom in Star Citizen, there's just something about the ability of actually looking around. Now, the Tobii Eye Tracker has 6 degrees of freedom in Star Citizen that allows you to look in pretty much any direction and tilt your head, move back and forward. It tracks all of this and does so when walking around. It's also very good in Elite Dangerous, although a little bit more limited in terms of some of these movements, and you can't use it on foot either in Elite. But in both games, it works very well inside the ships and inside any vehicles. And what's more, it does all of this from a device that attaches to the bottom of your monitor. Check out the links in the video description where you can find out everything you need to know. There's also currently a 15% discount running until the 9th of February and a Tobii sweepstake running until the 8th of February. So exploration in both of these games really is quite an experience. Of course, with Elite specifically, there is some gameplay attached to it. Star Citizen less so in quite a way. But one thing that Distant Worlds 3 has served to remind all of us is that people really do like this kind of experience. Not the idea of pure spectacle, not really a checklist of just going around and ticking boxes. What this is really about is the sensation, the experience of being inside these worlds. And let's be pretty clear what I mean by all of that, because Elite really has no shortage of exploration mechanics. We've got scanning, we've got mapping, signals, surface probes, we've got exobiology. All of that certainly exists. There's plenty of stuff to be getting on with. But none of that is really what makes Distant Worlds work. Of course, those things are there. Distant Worlds certainly makes use of them. But really, Distant Worlds works because Elite makes space feel like, well, it makes it feel like space. Not as a backdrop, not really as just a menu, but it's a place that you can genuinely experience and live within. And this might sound a bit cheesy, it might sound a bit cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. It really is the difference between travelling inside a game and travelling through a world. So as you can see here in Elite Dangerous, I'm currently flying over this rather gorgeous looking planet inside my brand new Caspian Explorer. And what I've liked here, something that really is quite nice, is zipping out from the Explorer, the large ship, into a ship-launched fighter. These are much more faster, they're more nimbler, they allow me to zip round these mountains, through the crevices, down through the canyons, and of course with the eye tracking and the head tracking here, that really gives you a great sense of situational awareness, because as you can see, I'm paying very close attention to some very close flybys to these cliffs and to these jagged uprisings, and with the ability to turn my head so that I can keep track of the ground as it passes by, there's much less chance of me clipping on it and causing my ship to smash apart. And this also holds true in Star Citizen, where you might be flying around asteroids, beautiful areas like this one here, where you can make real full use of the Newtonian physics, moving in one direction, positioned facing a complete different direction, all the while turning your head and looking around, keeping an eye on exactly what's going on within your environment. Whether that's just to keep track of these really nice visuals, or whether it's to keep track of some of the scenery or even the hostiles that might be near you, that is really up to you, depending on your specific scenario. But yeah, this works for everything. You'll also notice in Star Citizen how I can simply look at a target here. These are just targets in the environment, and press the target key, and the game knows exactly which object to target, because with the eye tracking, it knows where I'm looking and what item I'm actually intending to target. And this really just goes to show how effective and how useful Tobii Eye Tracking can be. And in this clip, just to give you a very brief idea of how that works, I'm using the Tobii Ghost overlay. This allows you to see what I'm looking at in real time. So as I'm moving my eyes around the screen here, looking at different things, the little circle here, the ghost, is showing you exactly what I'm looking at. So for streamers out there, for video makers on YouTube and any other platform, this is going to be extremely useful if you want another way of interacting with your audience, or at least letting your audience see how you're interacting with your games. And that can be a shooter, it can be a flight sim, or it can be exactly like this one, exploring these beautiful worlds of Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen. And just so you know, for clarity, the overlay here can be enabled or disabled, regardless of which option you have. The eye tracking is always on. And also, this does work both with users who have glasses, I have them myself, or if you're playing in low-light environments. There's no issue with that at all. And for me, it really is environments where I feel Star Citizen excels. So whatever you may think about this as a game, I think it's got some of the most spectacular environments in any space game. Bloom, which I'm flying over right here, feels absolutely desolate to me. But at the same time, the fact it's covered in this yellow moss everywhere gives it the sensation that the planet is very much alive. And of course, it does have a full atmosphere here. We've got these gorgeous volumetric clouds. We've got bodies of water to fly over and much more besides. And that's quite the contrast with Elite Dangerous, isn't it? Whereas with Star Citizen, we've got this sense of presence where you can fly around on a single planet and just feel that you're actually on a living planet. In Elite Dangerous, this all scales up. Whilst some of the planets might not be as detailed as Star Citizen, we've got this truly massive galaxy. Right here, I'm above or perhaps below, the galactic plane, and you can see the Milky Way spread out beneath me or to the side of me right here. And of course, ahead we've got a deadly neutron star. So what I'm really getting at here is the idea that whilst the games might not have vast amounts of gameplay mechanics to support these vast regions in Elite Dangerous, or these massive, beautiful environments in Star Citizen, they nonetheless pull players in to explore these areas. And the existence of distant worlds is a testament to that. It's actually the proof. Proves very solidly and objectively that thousands of people, many people, feel exactly the same way. In fact, that leads me on to another point. A lot of games come up with gameplay and then build the world around that gameplay. I do feel, and this may just be me, that games like Star Citizen create the world first and then fill that in with gameplay, and it does make a difference. Because when you have a world that's layered in this way, you have a fully believable world, then you have nice simple missions here, or complex missions, and these just feel entirely fitting for the environment we're in. For example, right here, I docked up at a station, decided to have a look at the mission board, not because I wanted to do a mission, but because I was here. And turned out there was a very quick courier mission to get involved with. Simple A to B delivery, pick up a parcel in one area and deliver it to another. Now, in case you're wondering what the heck you want about Obsidian, it's not about me focusing on specific gameplay loops here. It's rather me focusing on the idea of exploration as a gameplay approach, and a way that you actually play the games. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that I'm not logging into Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous to conduct a particular mission. Instead, I'm logging in to be immersed in these worlds, and whilst I'm here exploring, I might just so happen to do a bit of mining or some other activity, just as I'm doing here in my brand new Type 11, and you can see again how I make great use of the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 here. Not only does it allow me to feel immersed with the experience, but it also allows me to keep perfect track of the environment. Looking around, keeping track of where the pirates might be, whether any hostiles are swooping in, keeping track of where the chunks of rock are blasting off and what direction they're heading in, and even if you want to just take in the beauty of your ship itself, looking towards how your weapons, how your mining lasers are being deployed and firing off. And talking of weapons firing off, you can also, of course, make great use of this when it comes to combat as well. So, here again, I am with my Viper this time in the exact same extraction zone, this time picking up the pirates and the hostiles. And I'm pretty sure at this point it's quite obvious how much use and how handy the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is for this full experience. So no longer do I have to rely fully on the radar to keep track of which direction the hostiles are moving in. I can actually track them with my head and with my eyes, and this moves the in-game camera, allowing me to pretty much keep them in sight at all time. In fact, this is one of the reasons I'm really liking Distant Worlds 3, perhaps more so at the moment than Distant Worlds 1 and Distant Worlds 2, and there's a very specific reason for that. Whereas with the first two Distant Worlds, we're out here alone, isolated in the depths of space. Now it feels very different. We're here with a fleet. Specifically, coming along with fleet carriers, it means you can take with you more than one ship. So regardless of where we are in space, we have a home base at all times in the form of the fleet carrier, and we can also get involved in addition to exploring, we can get involved in combat, just like this, regardless of where we are. And that really just changed the dynamic and the feel of these vast deep space expeditions. And I'm really curious to see how this plays out across the entire expedition of Distant Worlds 3 over the coming months. Now, if you're curious about the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 that I've been showing off throughout the video, it's well worth pointing out that it supports many different games, not just Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous. Many of the games are natively supported, and the games that don't direct have native support are also supported via the Tobii Hub, and this allows you to basically connect the eye tracker to the game. And the Tobii Hub gives you a variety of different settings to control your head tracker. Now, with games like Star Citizen, where you've got integrated native support, you've also got a whole bunch of different settings here, as you can see on the options panel. You can pretty much control absolutely everything you want here. At any rate, that brings us to the end of this video. My thanks to you for watching it all the way through. My thanks again as well to Tobii for sponsoring this video. Do check out that link in the video description. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time.